This is Ken Paxton. And this is Ken Paxton stealing someone's $1,000 pen. Paxton walked up to the trays next to the metal detectors, rummaged through them, and came across someone else's expensive Mont Blanc pen. He decided to take it for himself. After the police got involved, Joe got his pen back.
Hi, I'm Joe Joplin, and I endorse James Tallarico.
A new ad running this weekend from Texas Democratic Senate candidate James Tallarico. He's highlighting an alleged pen theft by opponent Ken Paxton. Even selling not Ken Paxton pens on their website. Now, merch has become a big part of political campaigns. You almost can't make it up, except the campaign will release a lot more ads like this on Paxton's moral shortcomings, which go well beyond pen theft. And the reason is because it works, as our next guest noted in a fantastic Substack. Character still matters. Putting up a serial adulterer like Ken Paxton, whose own staff turned him into authorities for corruption, was never a good idea. And it's true. There is a realistic chance of Texas turning blue, meaning electing a Democratic Senate candidate, a guy named James Tallarico. And Tallarico has many problems of his own, including lots of sound bites talking about things like non-binary Jesus. This is all because Republicans chose Ken Paxton. It's not just in Texas. Accused wife-beater Max Miller is at 14 points underwater in his congressional race. The last time a Democrat represented his district was literally before Joe Biden was born. And yet Democrats could very well prevail this year because, as Erick Erickson wrote, character matters. And Eric, I think this is sort of interesting. Is it because character is now in vogue, or because we have finally gotten to the point where politicians have reached such rock bottom in their moral standing that people are forced to pay attention even by abysmally low standards?
Now, I actually think it's the latter, that the politicians have fallen so far that the voters are starting to pay attention. You want to get better outcomes in Washington, you've got to have better people. So you've got Corey Mills. The voters of Florida will decide in Florida 7 on Tuesday whether or not they want that guy coming back, who's accused of corruption, of passing contracts off to his business as a congressman, revenge porn, assault of a woman. You've got Max Miller in Ohio. You had Graham Plattner, the Democrats forced out of his race. You've got Abdul El Sayed in Michigan, who the more voters learn up there, they're like, this is not a great guy. Mike Collins in Georgia, Ken Paxton in Texas. The unbelievable thing to me, Leland, is that the Democrats forced out Eric Swalwell and they forced out Graham Plattner, and the Republicans, by and large, doubled down on Paxton and Max Miller and others.
Why do you think that difference has happened?
Because I think there is still something within part of the Republican base that, hey, Donald Trump doubled down in 2016 and won. We can still do this with other candidates. The problem is that we've got a series of elections after 2016 where voters across the board said, you know what, we gave Donald Trump a pass. We don't necessarily like the outcomes we're getting. We're not going to do this anymore. And if you don't believe me, I mean, the arguments that people are making in Texas to defend Ken Paxton are the exact same arguments that were made in Alabama, that they would never send a Democrat to Congress, no matter how flawed the Republican was there. And yet Doug Jones, the Democrat, went to Congress, went to the Senate.
Yeah, well, somebody who agrees with you, probably on the other side of the Republican Party from where you are, is Steve Bannon.
Right, here's the disaster. This is what I've said. If you want to save completely a absolute debacle, focus on these House districts, because I don't care how much Stephen Law and Mitch McConnell and how much the donors have poured money into here. If you treat President Trump as a lame duck, you don't do anything. People are not going to show up.
Bannon's theory is that you have to move closer as a Republican to Donald Trump.
You know, I got to tell you, when the president's popularity is where it is, and we do have a pattern of off-year elections where voters don't turn out if President Trump's not on the ballot, I think you got to be your own man. When you look at the president's gubernatorial track record this year of endorsements, the people who aligned with Trump lost in 8 races. If you take the Brian Kemp approach, where you run as a common sense conservative who may be at odds with Donald Trump, but you're defined by your own record, your own man, you tend to win. I mean, that tends to actually be the pattern: is be my own man with my own record, and I can win. Be Donald Trump's guy, I lose.
Well, and Georgia is the perfect example of that, because we've seen Kemp win twice in off-year elections when Trump was highly unpopular as a Republican. And when Trump is endorsing candidates for Senate in Georgia, they have an abysmal record. And as you point out, Jon Ossoff's likely to win there. There is something about this, particularly when it comes to white, educated female voters. You mentioned Abdul El-Sayed. I'm on the record on this show calling him what he is, which he is an Islamist. In next month, he is going to be at an Islamic conference with an imam who married off his 13-year-old niece. That's what kind of person this is. Yet, Fox News poll, white college-educated women are plus 23 for Abdul El-Sayed in the Michigan Senate race. How do we explain those two things, the overwhelming support of white educated women and a man who is objectively treating women and endorsing people who treat women like property?
This is a product, I think, of the failures of the American academy. We have radicalized, particularly young women. They go get college degrees, and essentially it's a progressive madrasa that they've gone to, where they learn woke intersectionalism, that the country is inherently bad and people are divided into classes. You can't get out of your class, and the virtuous white person is called an ally who aligns with the values and interests of the non-white people. It's what is taught in major universities now, and it's reflected in the polling. The higher the education you have, the more progressive you are these days.
Yeah. And you are right that in many universities, you must adhere to the party line, the faculty lounge politics, in order to get out. Erick Erickson, thank you very much.